Hello, Sophia here, the Life Navigator, and I'm here with Zarian. He's a health alchemist and he helps to elevate people to higher potentials through nutrition. He sees the body as our holy temple, and that is a gateway to expand ourselves to higher consciousness and to higher beings, and really to elevate and access our talents that we have that we may not be utilizing. So I just wanted to bring him on here to kind of get a better understanding about how possibly our nutrition, seen in the eye of it being more viewed as a light source and as essence, can actually help elevate us to access and to express our higher talents, so then we can go out and make that higher contribution in the world. So Zarian, would you be able to explain a little bit more of how you view nutrition and how that possibly can help us access our higher potentials?
The way I view nutrition is more as far as informing the body. So it's giving the body information as to activate certain brain chemicals to link us into higher source. So the problem we have on this planet right now is we have too many altered genetically modified organisms, and this includes organic. Most people think organic is, a solution or it's a better option, but I'm here to set the record straight. We really need to kind of rethink how we're going about our nutrition. Most people are just looking to fill their belly, or a lot of people are caught in the health paradigms. And for me, the human body is actually a sacred temple. It's a vibrating spiritual instrument. And so, kind of like an instrument, we need to attune that instrument. If we want to connect to higher source, if we want to connect with the universe, we need to have our sacred temple attuned. Now, the modern food supply, genetically altered food, processed foods, chemically altered foods, this actually stifles and lowers the vibration of the body. So it doesn't allow you to be this vibrating instrument to tap into higher source. And so a lot of people who are empathic, a lot of people who are conscious are struggling right now because they cannot access those higher states because their body is actually being impeded by this genetically modified food. By the water supply, even the water has no life force. It's got plastic residues. So a lot of stuff in society is actually clogging. It's like bogging us down. It's actually lowering our light. We're not allowed to amplify our light. So most people are very misinformed, even in the holistic health field. Most people think they can pop a handful of supplements and they're covered. We have all these fads, right now, the CBD oil, we have MCT oil, we have all these things, and I always have one question: where's the proof? Where are all the fit, healthy, radiant people? Okay, and I meet a lot of people, and they always say, "Oh, I'm doing healthy," and then it's like, "All right, well, let me hear what you're doing," and then it's like, they just rattled off 90% of what they're doing is not healthy, and they look at me like, "What do you mean?" Well, MCT oil is actually processed; it's chemically altered. It's not a natural compound. It's, it's being portrayed as a health food oil, but it's not. CBD oil, most companies are using, machines to chemically extract these oils to make the product, so therefore it renders that product toxic. So we need to reassess how we're going about our nutrition. It's not so much trying to find that holy grail like these magic supplements. It's actually a lifestyle embodiment, but it's also going back to nature. It's called the essence of nature. We're here in the desert and everything is vibing to me here. This is all harmonic and coherence. And everything in society is incoherent. And our bodies are meant to be nourished by coherent information and colors and sound. We're supposed to be intaking energy from Mother Earth. The essence of the plants, the essence of the rocks, that's nourishing to me. It's not just what I physically put in my body. So humanity has got the wrong idea. For me, when I look at what people are doing, I look at them and go, you're not going to access your higher potential because you're not activating your brain, number one. You're not elevating the frequency of your body, so you're going to stay stagnant and stuck. And this is where a lot of people, I know they mean well, but a lot of people in the conscious fields, the empathic people, they're looking to expand, but I see a disconnect because they're not fully understanding that expansion and evolution is actually biological. And this is what I can prove physically, that in your body there are certain biochemical processes going on, especially in your brain and spinal cord, that activate your pineal gland, activate your DNA, so you can access higher states of consciousness. So most people are using a very a mental, emotional process to try to expand consciousness. it's very limiting, and it's actually very taxing on your energy. It's energy consuming, like meaning you have to use a lot of energy to try to connect to that level, when it's actually much simpler. If people would focus on this holy temple and get it attuned and vibrating high, you would see that you can actually tap into source a little easier, and even the universe will respond differently to you. So there's people teaching laws of attraction, and for me, for years I've just have not really liked when I hear people teaching laws of attraction, because it's programming people to use the mental faculties, which is actually an impediment to evolution. For me, laws of attraction are too mental, and actually attraction and manifestation actually happens through your body. So it's more of an actual biological creation to manifest and attract, as opposed to using mental constructs. And this is why 95% of people who employ laws of attraction or try to employ those philosophies in their life don't get much results in their life. And again, I'm being honest. I have tried to use them, and it really didn't have success with them. And then I'm looking at my friends and acquaintances, and then I look at people that I've met in spiritual communities. There's a common theme. It's called struggle and suffering. I see a lot of people struggling and suffering. So for me, I started changing my perspective as, how can we attain these higher states of consciousness? Because it looks like so many people are putting out so much energy, and not much is really changing in their life. So for me, this here is what I call the holy chalice. Now, there's a story in myth and legend called the Holy Chalice, and people think it's this gold cup or gold ornament. And for me, it's a metaphor for your body. This is the Holy Chalice, and it's a vibrating spiritual instrument. And if you know how to attune it, that's when the miracles happens. That's when you can ignite your inner, what I call your inner superhero. That's when your pineal gland ignites. That's when your DNA ignites, which you can then access higher states of consciousness, because higher states of consciousness is linked to your DNA being turned on, as with your pineal gland and spinal cord. And if you're not intaking the proper nutrition, you can't activate these faculties. And so that's where a lot of people are struggling. They're trying to connect, but they really can't, because they're not really taking care of their health, number one, or they're following a paradigm and they're inputting nutrition that's not ideal for their body constitution, which is another problem I see with people. They're caught in a paradigm and they think, oh, this is healthy, but it's like, all I have to do is look at someone and go, well, your body's telling you that's really not healthy for you.
So how do you go and then be more in tune to understand what is good for you and what is just being told out there is good for you?
Yeah, it's called exploration. And listen to your body's a feedback mechanism. So when you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see light? Do you see vibrancy? Do you see radiant skin? Do you see clear eyes? How's your mental faculty? Is it clear? Are you clear-minded? When you get up in the morning, do you feel well? How well do you feel? This is, and again, I'm just being honest with people. When I ask them that question, they never take the time. How does it feel? You're following this nutrition lifestyle, but how's it working for you? How's your skin? How are your nails? Your body's a feedback mechanism, so all you have to do is look at your body. But also, how do you feel inside your body? Do you feel calm? Do you literally feel well? Or is it there's always this, there's this just something just doesn't feel right? I mean, believe me, I've been through my own health struggles, because I'm empathic. I've been empathic since I was born. I was working out, 4 or 5 days a week. I was taking awesome supplements. I was doing organic food, and I was preparing all my meals. I possibly couldn't have had healthier meals coming into my body, and yet something just didn't feel right. I just didn't feel like as good as I knew I could, based on all this energy I'm putting in, all this money, and yet it's not translating into optimum health. What's going on? And that's when I started digging a little deeper, and that's when I started exploring, experimenting, and going, oh boy. And that's when the light bulb came on, is most of what's out there for human nutrition is programming. I'm sorry to have to tell people. I know some people they're following either someone online, or they took a certification, and they think most of that is programming. Everybody is individual. We all have a unique genetic blueprint. We all have a unique mental, emotional, spiritual makeup. That will determine what kind of nutrition input that you need. So for you, one nutrition lifestyle serves you well. For me, it might not serve me well. And I've proven this to people with Just try some new things. Okay, for 1 day, 2 days, try something new and see what happens. And you see, once you start exploring, your body starts giving you different feedback. That's when you know what is ideal for your body type. Some people, they're vegan, vegetarian, but their body's telling them this is not for me, and they're struggling. And not only that, their body is in degeneration mode. They actually have health conditions. They have sometimes serious health conditions, and yet they continuously follow the same nutrition lifestyle. So what I'm saying is there is no one magic diet. There is no one magic supplement. It's individual. And that's where people need to take proactive responsibility. Is you can't look outside all the time for the magic push button health answer, because it doesn't exist. And for me, health starts first with your consciousness, and then it starts with restructuring your life so it's all coherent and harmonic.
So can you touch a little bit more upon that? Because with me, I see nature as essence, in a realm of essence, whether that be light or just the frequency of it. Can you pertain that to food and how we ingest food and what exactly what our bodies want from food and nutrition?
Yeah. So the way the body, most of people think that you ingest certain compounds and your body breaks them down and absorbs certain nutrients into your cells. Nothing is getting absorbed into your cells other than water. Okay, water is the only structured water. You know, you need the water molecule to be so small that it actually enters into the aquapore in your cell. Nutrients do not get absorbed into your body. What's supposed to happen is nutrients are supposed to attach to the receptor sites of your cells, and there's an energy exchange, there's an information exchange. So around minerals and vitamins, there's this biofield that some people who have the right equipment, you can see this luminous biofield around a mineral. And what your cells want is just the information. It wants that light around this nutrient to then access information, so then it can produce its own. Your body's producing keratin and proteins. Your body's producing skin and hair. You don't ingest something and it goes into your body, and then your body spackles it over here, or it pushes it over here. That's not what's happening. Your body wants information, it wants frequency, it wants color, it wants sound, vibration. It takes those vibrations, and then it has the energy and light to produce its own constituents. This is why the body is a marvel. To me, if people truly understood what the body's doing, they would pause and rethink how they're going about their whole life. Because everything is impacting your health. Everything you wear is impacting your health. Everything you put in, on, and around your body is impacting your vibration. It's either uplifting your vibration or it's pulling it down. Now, most of society is set up against us. It's incoherent, disharmonic, and it's pulling people's vibration down. This is why a lot of people are struggling. It doesn't matter if you're conscious. It doesn't matter if you mean well. And it doesn't matter if you have great intentions. If you're in this discordant energy soup, you can't attain higher levels of consciousness, especially if you're dumping in GMO constituents in your body, especially if you're drinking water from plastic bottles. Those plastic residues are clogging your pineal gland, they're clogging your liver and kidneys. It's dampening your light, but it's not allowing your body to vibrate super high to connect to higher source. And this is what's the main impediment to most people's evolution. I've been through it myself, and I see a lot of my friends and acquaintances struggling. And they don't understand that just because you're eating organic food doesn't mean that your body is benefiting from it. Just because you're doing this kombucha and all these gimmicks, for me, all these things are gimmicks and they're money makers. Kombucha and green powders and superfoods. And I always say, how's it working for you? And where are all the fit, healthy, radiant people? And that's when people go, oh. Because we have epidemics that are continuing to rise every year, and yet we have the most amount of health information, health products than ever before. And we have people that are actually on their way out. In fact, we really need to pause, because health and nutrition should be number one on everyone's list. We need to reprioritize our lives to have health number one. And then from everything else then comes from your health. If you have your health, if you have radiance, you have life force, you can go out and be a force in the world. But if you're struggling, physically, mentally, emotionally, you're going to be struggling, which is then it's going to dampen your light, but you're not going to be able to go out and impact people. And I went through this for many years. This wasn't just a year or two. I struggled, and I didn't understand what do I have to do? Well, how much money? And it wasn't about the money. It was what I was taught was wrong, and how humans are going about their nutrition and how they're going about their life is what I call 5 butts backwards. People are going for the money, careers, and they're doing all these things, and health is like down here. It's one of the last, if there's time and if there's money, that's when people take the time. But most people don't have the time. That's the problem. They don't have time to figure this out. And so I've become a master at this. Is I can take any person, and I have a very good track record. When a person applies what I teach, 2 days later, their consciousness is different. They have excess energy, and something's going on inside. And I'm like, yeah, that's called alchemy. And this is what people are missing, is there needs to be alchemy in your body, in your DNA. And most people are not, because we are living in this toxic soup. Food and water cannot hydrate or nourish the body. And if you can't do that for your body, if you can't fully hydrate and nourish this holy temple, you can't connect to higher source, you can't attain higher states of consciousness. Just because someone does meditation, just because someone goes to yoga class, does not automatically translate to that person actually evolving. For me, evolution is how much of your true self and light are you going to show to the world? How harmonic of a life, and how much harmony is within your body, and how much harmony are you creating with the planet and others? That's evolution, not practices you do. People think because you do these spiritual practices that translates into evolution. No, evolution is actually biological, and it's an experience. It's in your body. And so I think if people can just pause and rethink of how they're going about their nutrition, but how they view this holy temple, you would see miracles happen. And I've done it with people.
So what is the first step? Like, for coming from somebody who's just going day to day, they live a healthy lifestyle, they're pretty conscious about it. What possible steps could they take more immediately to even progress towards this healthier, higher light being that we've been speaking of?
The first thing is changing, not believing everything that's being told, even in spiritual communities. It's going back to the essence of nature, which is what you teach. For me is this right here, what I'm doing right here. I'm sitting on this rock, and people would think this is kind of boring. Actually, for me, I'm nourishing myself right now. If I don't come out here 3 to 5 times a week, I feel off. So the first thing that people can begin doing, connecting to the planet. This is our first source of nutrition, by the way. It's called luminescence. Okay, you call it connecting to the essence of nature. This is luminescence, because Mother Earth is the greatest source of life force. That is the main ingredient we need to thrive. And yet I see 90% of humanity totally disconnected from this. And I see even conscious people saying, going balls to the wall, doing all these things, laws of attraction, vision boards, and then it's like, you never go outside in nature, man. You're missing the most important source of nutrition, yeah? And so this is why most of humanity, for me, I see we're on a trajectory to extinction, and there's people who will disagree. At the current rate, it's a trajectory toward extinction, and our savior is going back to nature in Mother Earth. This is our lifeline, the life force, and all the indigenous cultures to ever walk the planet knew that. That's why they honored the planet as a sacred being, not as this thing that we can strip from and abuse and take and never give back. So for me, it starts with going back to the basics. Number 1, life force from Mother Earth. Number 2 is reprioritizing your life and how you go about your life. How much life force energy are you giving over to a job that you really don't love? Because if you don't really love that, it's actually pulling your vibration down. Who are you with in a relationship? Because if you're not with someone that's uplifting you, if there's not coherence and synergy, then that is taking your life force. The nutrition, if you're ingesting box can dead food, well, then dead food equals a dead body. And this is where 95% of the foods in stores are dead. This includes health food stores. Most of the foods at health food stores are gimmicks. It's not true nutrition. So that's what I teach with people. Is I teach people how to make alchemical meals and infuse light back into it, life force, and I put frequencies and colors and sound into it, and that becomes a different way to nourish your body, as opposed to just putting food on a plate and eating it. I say, wait, before you even go there, we need to alchemize this meal. First of all, how do you go about preparing your meal? Because most people, they just want to put food together and eat because they're hungry. I don't. When I prepare my meals, I'm like in this blissful alchemical state where it's like, all right, every time I touch food, magic happens. I've had my own restaurant where I knock people's socks off, but every time I cook for friends and family, everyone's just like pausing, like, this, like, wow, how are you making this? Well, actually, I'm using less ingredients, but what it is I'm alchemizing it. I'm putting alchemy, I'm putting colors and frequencies without people knowing it, and then they don't understand, how does it taste so delicious? Because this person over here can make the same exact meal, and it tastes different. So we need to go about nourishing our body in a different format. We need to look at nourishing ourselves with light, color, sound frequencies, as opposed to this dead matter
Can
that's
you
on the
go a
plate.
little bit more in depth on that? Like in comparison between wild herbs or wild crafted nourishment versus what you were stating, like canned box food, like on a frequency base on what's bringing you down and what specifically we should be avoiding then also for the most debilitating things that are available out in the stores.
Well, I mean, first of all, we're not supposed to be ingesting farm-raised vegetables. And I know some people don't want to hear this. We're supposed to be ingesting heirloom, wild-crafted herbs and plants. They have the highest frequency because they're wild-crafted, meaning they grow in nature and they have their own evolution they go through. So they're carrying vibrations that you cannot recreate on a farm. Actually, a farm is a depleted ecosystem. That is actually death. So farms, you know what I'm talking about, when you go by a farm and you see dirt and you see these acres and acres of just dirt, like brown, that's a dead ecosystem. So the plants growing in that soil are going to not be as high nutrition as the wild crafted. In fact, what's being shown is, obviously most people know by now, but the vegetables are very devoid of nutrition. But not only are they devoid, they're foreign to a human body. And this is why a lot of people are actually struggling, because when you ingest too much of this foreign food, your body doesn't recognize it as nutrition. It needs energy, it needs nutrients to get it out of your system. But it also has been shown, and this is leading edge. You're not going to be able to find this in conventional science. But in the coming years, there's going to be a whole lot of people in the community, in the science field, that are actually going to have to admit what's going on. But this genetically modified food, farm-raised foods, can actually turn off certain genetic markers in your DNA. And if you understand what that means, it means that your biology is changing. So if you look at certain people, they look grotesque. They're huge. They're enormous. The food supply is altering their genetics. Some people don't even look human sometimes. I mean, I've seen some people like, oh my, they just don't look human. They either have huge body parts, but this is a combination of the hormones that's being put in the food. But what it's doing is this dead, dense, genetically altered food is shutting off certain aspects to your DNA, which is not allowing you to express, to number one, create a healthy body, but for you to connect to higher source. So there's multiple things going on with the food supply, and we really, as a society, need to correct that. I have an intention to create the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. I'm working on it to build resources and funding to actually create those, and I will have those. I intend to have in the next few years to have my own line of nutritional products, but also foods that are actually wild-crafted heirloom, that actually have resonance, that actually have nutrition to offer your body. So for me,
what can we do in the meantime? For right now, what would be the best advice that you could give us for dealing with the epidemic, that we might not be able to go out and collect these wild crafts, but we just have our grocery stores? What is the best thing that we could do? What advice do you have for us when we enter this grocery store? So
obviously, the closer that something is to nature, the better and the healthier it is. So look for the healthiest, freshest selections. My recommendation is look in your local area and find farmers markets, and go and talk to these the people who are the vendors there. And usually you'll find at least a handful of people who are actually carrying over heirloom seeds that have carried it over the decades, okay? Whether it's through their family lineage or whatnot, but just try to find locally grown stuff that's actually looks great. I mean, if you go to the food store, to me, everything looks the same, has the same color, same size, same shape. That's altered food. So try to go to the farmer's market and try to find heirloom. And if you can't find heirloom and wildcrafted, then do the best you can with getting organic, but then you need to restructure that food. So when you're preparing your meal, You need to go in it with a different state of consciousness. It's not just putting a meal together. You're actually creating a harmonic information packet for your holy temple.
And something I've noticed too is we went to the grocery store, and what you pick up is something very unique from what I see against most shoppers, is you sense some of the essence of the food before even ingesting into your body.
Yeah.
Before you even, like,
Yeah.
that's how you select your food.
Yeah.
Can you explain more about what you were doing there?
I'm just literally feeling the essence of that food product. Sometimes something might not even be organic, but I'm feeling a vibration coming from this constituent. And so it's like I'm always feeling. Most people just shop and they're putting stuff in their cart. I'm feeling. I'm smelling. I'm using my senses. Or again, this is a holy temple. It's a vibrating spiritual. It's sensing things. So for me, I sense. And sometimes I literally can look at a package from across the way, and I can immediately say, "That's junk," or "Whoa, there's something up with that. There's some vibe." And then when I put it in my hand, I really start getting. I can feel the essence energy coming through my hand. So for me, it's all about feeling. And that's where we should be shot, because our bodies are going to tell us, "Ooh, this is really good," or And so I've seen a lot of companies. They're putting all these labels on their on their product, on their boxes and stuff. But for me, I'm looking at this and it's like I don't sense anything. It's dead. So I'm not going to waste my money. So again, I go through feel. So that's another recommendation, is feel. When you go to the store, get a feel. There are certain items that might vibe high, but you need to take that proactive measure. You can't have somebody else tell you, this is good for you or not, because one product might resonate good for you, but for another person, it might be something totally different. So we need to be feeling. We need to go and experience. We need to explore instead of always looking for what's that magic, perfect diet that I can use to help me, or what's the magic supplement. There is none. I'm sorry to have to inform you, there is none. It's called exploring, being self-responsible, and feeling. It's your life and it's your body, and only you know what you feel and sense. So
Awesome. Well, could you inform everybody how possibly they could read more about some of your information, possibly get some coaching with you? Where can we get a hold of you?
I got videos on YouTube, and you can go to my website at ZarianTheAlchemist.com, ZarianTheAlchemist.com. And I have some free giveaways. I have some videos, and then a little bit more of what I teach with alchemy, and like how the Hermetics in ancient times, they called this this sacred alchemical vehicle of expansion. So for me, evolution and expansion is actually biological, and it happens through your body, not in the mind. And kind of like, it's not a mental construct for me. You can't meditate enough. You can't do enough affirmations. You can't do enough spiritual work on yourself to actually hit your highest potential. It's actually biological. If you learn how to nourish your body with multiple dimensions, not just physical, but alchemical meals, connecting with the planet, drinking structured water, because structured water is actually a holographic crystal that actually connects you to source the greatest. There's higher potential in water than there is with food, but most of the water supply does not have that, not only the geometries, but it doesn't have the life force and the light to connect you to source. So most water is actually going to pull you down. And so your brain needs alchemical structured water to actually activate your pineal gland. And so if people could learn how to create this water, or get some of this, what I call living structured water, miracles happen. I've had miracles happen all the time.
So you have this water available?
I make a version called Aqualite, but then I have certain tools that people can use at home to benefit themselves. For now, what I tell people is get off plastic bottled water, because people don't understand that over the years, the plastic residues in your body accumulate, and after so many years, you're going to hit a point of no return. Once the pineal gland, brain, kidneys, and liver are congested, you're not going to be able to take enough detox compounds to get all that stuff out. So the plastic residues also alter your genetics and hormones, which if you look at certain people, they've done what they possibly can to try to restore their health. Nothing's changing because their body is so clogged with plastic residues. Nothing's can change in their body because they're so clogged, if that makes sense. It's kind of like, you have a pipe in your house that's clogged. You're going to have to go in there with force and really root it out, right? So for me, get off plastic bottled water, invest in, at least for now, glass bottled water, and then just bless your water before you drink it. That's a better option, because now you're not going to be inputting all this toxic grunge into your body every day. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your insight. It's great to hear how the essence can carry over to our food source and how that can elevate us to our higher potential, higher consciousness. And so thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And I just want to remind everybody to always let your love shine. So we will see you next time.